So that's it. So there are many characteristics like this around. You know, I know there's some Israeli architects who have made big studies of this. You know, have shown how it works, have shown how it looks. You know, and they have actually been around in exhibitions here in Denmark too. Another kind of organization. The old organization with the market around the market area didn't work anymore. So they broke through this old town in an urban renewal, you can call it, and they put up new houses here all the way around. And I don't know if you have been to Florence, it's still there. They are called the ufficies. And that means offices, in fact. It's the same word as offices. And that's how they thought they could manage. They could manage this kind of trading, this kind of development. So they made an office for collecting cereals. They made an office for collecting grain. They made an office for collecting wine. They made an office for storing, managing the wine, the cereal, the cows, whatever. And they made offices for trading. Yeah. They made all these things for connections to other countries. So they developed a system that was sectorized. Sectorism. Sectorized. And that system worked so well for a long period that it was this town. It didn't connect many people. At most it was about maybe 10,000, 12,000 people living in. But they was the dominant economical center of Europe. There wasn't any king who dared to let his son, marry a princess from another royal family without asking him, because they all owed money to this area of Florence here. And that meant that naturally all the royal families and all the kings around in Europe, they looked at this and said, oh, that must be an extraordinary system. How comes? So we better do the same thing. So they start to making up comparable structures like these ufficies, which worked, you know, on either sectors, you know. They parted up all productions in their societies. They parted up all the management in relation to other countries, how they managed, how they did that. And that's how it worked all day. Yeah. And that's how it developed. And that's what we call the Renaissance. And that was actually the beginning of the free market. The free market system. And that system was based on, they were breaking down, all over Europe, they were breaking down all the existing communities, all the system, all the small oases that developed in Europe after the Roman Empire, they were breaking down now. They were breaking down by this sectorism. Whatever you had of production, it was, any town was divided up. It was not the town's agriculture project. It was an agricultural system transferred to whole Europe. And therefore, they raised huge companies who actually were working that way, that they owned agricultural activities, you know, in all countries around. production system or whatever they produce, also all the companies. And that's the companies who have now developed, this is the strategy have now developed into this global strategy. We have global companies now who make agriculture everywhere in the world. We have companies who make energy systems everywhere in the world. We have companies who build houses everywhere in the world. Across all the local communities and all the local societies. And that's how it's true. Naturally, the political system developed the same way. Because the political system, the politicians, the people who want to have political influence, they have to react to that. And therefore they did that. And therefore they made political parties, they made socialist parties, they made conservative parties, they made liberal parties, exactly the same all over the world. They are cooperating together, they're working together, and they are managing their attitude to the world in the same way. And therefore we have political parties that's transversing all this society and have connections, not locally, but they have connections out to international, their international sister parties there. So that make the whole, instead of we were bind together in by our geographical position, by our relation to in our neighborhood, to our neighbors and things like that, we started individualism. And that means that we, as individuals, we have to relate ourselves to all this kind of transfer production systems. And that means that we are not talking about that if we want some food, we are not talking about that we're looking for food as individuals in our local food production system. We're looking at the big supermarket system that is international and globally. And that's where we have to manage. And therefore, we actually are very manipulative. They can manipulate with us. I mean, it's not for sure. You know all about the stuff we get in the supermarket. We don't know where it comes from. We don't know how it's managed. We don't know how the actual value in is if its production is poisonous or whatever, and the transportation of it. But that's part of their strategy. That's the next one. We developed this parliamentarism, the political system. The political system that we call democracy. There are a lot of other kinds of democracy. If democracy means the right of the people to decide, there's a lot of different kinds of democracy could be organized. We have all kinds of them. We have basic democracy, we have consensus democracy, we have the party-based democracy, and that's what we call the parliamentary democracy. And that has developed through the years. This kind of democracy has developed into its more and more dominant strategy is internationally organized. And that means that the parties that are internationally organized, that have representatives in most countries in the world, are the best parties to argue, have the biggest means, have money, of capacity, of knowledge, of experts, you know, to run the campaign, the election campaigns, and therefore they are the one in charge. You see them all over the world. It's fairly the same discussion about the socialist, the old Democratic Party on the one side, and the bourgeois party on the other side. It's the same fight all over. And this because it is actually internationally run. It's not run, it's a Danish Social Democrats, it's not, they are part of the international Social Democrats. The Danish